Okay, back on the Sony SL-HF400, hopefully getting the mechanism squared away today. And then there was a problem with the fast forward rewind switch that I think just needs a tact switch replacement. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this switch because I believe that this switch that lives back there is what tells it when it's loaded and unloaded, as far as I can see at least. Forgive me, it's been probably 35 years since I've had my hands on one of these this in depth, other than just maybe a cleaning or a belt replacement. So I'm going to start by just removing this cover. Keeps the tape from wrapping around that guide right there. And then there's just a bunch of these little screws. And what I want to do is take off that outer rail. And of course I'm using the non-magnetic screwdriver. How nice. That one's okay. And I want to make sure that I have the heads basically out of position. Well, I do think I'm on the right track. And I think it's just latched. And it was latched at the bottom. Try to get these wires out of these holders peacefully. And we're going to have to remove this other angle guide. Hopefully I can get it back close to where it needs to be. I don't think these are that critical as I recall. I might be able to fish the switch out of there. We'll have to see. And yes, there is the prize that I was looking for. So we're just going to run a piece of paper through the contacts and wipe them off. And hopefully we can get this little plastic guide back into place. Who designed this? All right, one moment. Okay, I've got the switch out and in view right here. I'm just going to put a piece of paper in between the contacts and then very gently close the contacts and drag the paper through it. This is just going to polish the contacts of the switch. And chances are they're either silver or gold plated, so it's going to remove any oxidation, any tarnish that it may have. Sometimes I'll go ahead and just add, let me see if I can do it off camera, just a small dab of deoxit just to kind of keep the contacts lubricated. Okay, I'm going to call that good. Put this thing back together and see what happens. One moment. All right, so I've got the mechanism all reassembled. Let's go ahead and give it some power. Please don't blow up. Heard the solenoid pull in, that's a good sign. Hit the power button. Everything seems normal. Let's go ahead and try to insert the tape. Let's see what happens. And by all rights, that's working perfectly. It's playing, it's taking up the tape. That is excellent. So one of the things that it did, if you stopped it and then removed power and then reapplied power, it would not reload. Now it seems to be working perfectly. Eject. Nope, there's still something going on. I think it's going to be that switch, if I had to guess. Because it worked fine that time. So I'm going to try to remove the carriage assembly right here, and we'll try to gain access to that switch and clean it, and hopefully that takes care of that issue. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to pull the front panel, and then that way I can find two of the screws that are supposed to go in the side of the machine. So really at this point, I have to pull the bottom off, obviously. I've only got a couple screws holding the bottom on anyhow. 3 to be exact. And I lost it on the floor. I'll find it. And I found it. So by all rights, we're only missing 1 screw at this point. So I've got 3 of the 4 machine thread screws that go in the side of the machine. And I'm betting the ones that were on the side go here. Good call. All right, so. And oh, look, there is number 4. Right on. All right, all 4 machine thread screws have been recovered for the outside of the machine. I was a bit worried that I was going to have to try to come up with some. I've got a couple Sony machines of my own in the garage that maybe I could have cannibalized if necessary. All right, what's holding that down? Oh, it's just a clip. Okay. Now I think the front panel is connected via cables. Yes, it is. So we're just going to put that one up and out of the way, and then I can actually remove the carriage. There we go, lifted up and out. Now these are the tape-in switches down here. They might be a little harder to clean, but I'll definitely shoot some deoxit down in there and try to clean them. But the main thing I'm concerned with is that switch right there. Luckily it pops out. We can go and pop it out and do the paper cleaning trick once again. Let me move this monstrosity out of the way once again. One moment. Okay, let's see if this is going to cooperate peacefully. Just lift you. Whoa, that was easy. I don't think I damaged anything. So I was going to say, just lift up very, very lightly under the switch as you push these little tabs back. They barely had to go at all. So anyhow, got the switch out. We'll lay it down here, get good focus on it once again. And there we are, focused. Next, you know what comes, the piece of paper. Just got to find it. So you know what, before I run the paper through it, I'm going to hook an ohmmeter up to it and just try to close it a couple of times and see what the contacts test like on the ohmmeter. One moment. Okay, ohmmeter set up on the continuity range. Let's just go ahead and try to close it. I should get a solid beep. And I'm pushing it closed. It still says open. You can see it's moving the contact. As soon as it touches the contact, that should be 0 ohms. Let's just run this paper through it just a couple of times. I'm just going to close it like that. And then we'll give it another test. Yeah, still not great. Let's add some pressure to the paper. So what I'm going to do, if I can get it oriented, is just hold it closed and pull it through. Then we'll give it another try. And that really made it worse. Well, I'm not giving up that easily. It just requires a bit more finesse. Maybe I've got a bad connection over here. Wow, that's really bad. Well, we'll give it a shot of deoxit. See if that's going to help anything. I don't really want to have to try to sand the contacts down. Normally just a regular sheet of paper is more than adequate enough. Wow. Horrendously bad. If I give it pressure, it's pretty good. You know what? I think it's the lead. Well, maybe not. Wow. Well, I'm going to work on this for probably 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, well, I've spent probably the last 5 minutes polishing these contacts. And they're perfect now. Stay right at 0. I get quite a few people asking, why don't you show it going back together? And I'm like, well, basically just the opposite of taking it apart. Just do the opposite. But okay, there you go. It's reinstalled, just like that. And I'm just going to go ahead and shoot some deoxit down into these guys. Hopefully this will be enough. I don't really want to have to pull the whole bottom of the mechanism apart, but if it seems to be a problem, I certainly will. I think they're perfect. Okay, I like that. I think it's going to work out perfectly fine. Don't forget to plug this back in. That's the cassette in switch. All right, next, let's see. I'll just disconnect the front panel. And what I want to do is replace this rewind switch right there, because it is very problematic. When you press it, you get fast forward 9 out of 100 times. 99 out of 100,000 million times. So I've got some switches. They're not grounded, unfortunately, but I think they will work in this application. So here's a test on that switch. So this lead is grounded. And then if I press it, watch the ohmmeter down there. I know it's out of focus. It never gets basically to 0. And so it's basically giving it a fast forward command, because I believe this whole thing is set up in a ladder configuration with these various resistors based on what button is actually pressed. See, that one pulls down to 4 ohms pretty easily. I want to go ahead and just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 switches. I can't replace the record switch over here because I do not believe I have any 90-degree switches like this. So hopefully this customer is not going to want to use this to record on, just to play back on. So I do have 7 brand new tacked switches, never been used. And I'm hoping they're not going to be a problem, because I've got my micrometer out here, and if I measure before it gets applied, I've got 4.96 millimeters. After application, 4.73 millimeters. Make sure I'm at 0. Yes, I am. And so we will go ahead and measure these switches. And I've got 4.39 millimeters before application. And 4.08 millimeters after application. So I'm hoping I've got a 0.5 millimeter of clearance in there. I guess we will see. Perfect. 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 And perfect. I don't know about the record switch. Nope. Well, maybe I can spray some deoxit in there and work it and possibly bring it back to life, because I do not have a 90-degree switch like that. And perfect. I like it. Okay, let's throw this thing back together and give it a test. The check button feels weird. That's weird. Okay, let me investigate that further. So I grabbed the old sanding disc on the Dremel machine, and I just ground that down just a tad. I don't know if you can see how much shorter it is than the other switches. But I did grind it down just a little bit. Let's get the front panel repositioned. Incidentally, I did go ahead and clean off the clock display inside and out. It was severely brown. I don't know if it was nicotine or what, but very brown. So let's go ahead and just pop the top, or the front I should say, the top from this aspect. Pop it in there, make sure it's seated good. I don't hear the click on the power button now. So I have to grind that one down too. I think I do. It's nice if they rotate as you're grinding them down. Okay, let's give that a try. And let's see, did we catch that? Nope. I'm hoping this will be the last time this comes apart. Should be right at 5. Yep. Okay, that side is latched. This side is latched. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, all 7 switches that I replaced sound absolutely perfect now. I can go ahead and put the bottom back on it. I can go ahead and put the screws back here, and then we'll give it another try. One moment. Okay, all back together, front panel's on, belts connected, blah, blah, blah. Power has been applied. All right, power on. Let's pop a tape into it. See what's going to happen. So far, so good. Let's get the capture device set up. Capturing in 3, 2, 1. Capture, and it shows it is recording, and we'll hit play.
Accurate.
And look at that. It is actually playing. Do we have sound?
It has all the features of its luxury class competitors.
And yes, we do.
At a very competitive price.
All right, so the only other thing that I have to do
Acura TL series.
is fix the customer's remote, because it does not work. No output whatsoever. So let me get the top thrown back on this. I'm going to set it down and just let it play this whole tape through and rewind it and make sure everything is good. Remember, some of the other problems that we were having was if you stop, let's just turn the power off on the unit, like the power went out, and we'll turn it back on. It is still capturing. Turn the power on and hit play. And it came right back to life, no problem. It would not do that before. If you remove power with the tape threaded, as they call it in the beta world, if the tape was threaded, when you reapplied power to it, it didn't want to unthread. And then the other thing was, once you turn the power off completely, and then, what was it, remove power, reapply power, it wanted to do something really strange. I can't remember what it was. But let's go ahead and power it on and eject the tape. Maybe that's what it was. After the tape was out and you remove power, when you reapplied power, it started to partially load on its own. When you tried to put the tape in, it didn't know what was going on. So power on. Yep. It knows exactly what's going on now. I think I will go ahead and tighten this belt ever so slightly. It looked like it was a little bit tight previously, but it might have just skipped a tooth along the way. I don't want it to roll over. So let's eject it. That's a little too tight. You can hear the strain. Well, I'm going to call that good. We'll hit play once again, make sure it plays. And playing absolutely perfectly. Like I said, I'm going to set this down on the ground. We'll let it run while I attempt to service the customer's remote. One moment. Okay, so taking a look at the remote in the battery compartment, I do see somebody's been there. They've been scraping. They've had some corrosion. I wonder if it made it onto the circuit board. But we need to pop this open. There are no screws in these. Somebody has been here in the past because you can see these little pry marks. So I'm wondering what's up with this machine, the whole thing in general, because some of the case screws were holding the front panel on. So I'm just wondering who might have been into this at some point in its life. Okay, well there it is. Nice Sony circuit board as always. Let's just go ahead and pop the whole thing out. And is it just a matter of sometimes these crystal or the ceramic resonators give up on these things? Oh, this one does have an indicator. That does not even try to light up. Interesting. Well, let's get a macro zoom on that, and we'll take a quick look at the circuit board and just see what it looks like. Well, I certainly don't like the looks of it from the top. And they certainly could have used a little bit of adhesive or even some RTV to hold it in place, because it's going to want to flop around like that. I don't see any bad connections on it. However, that looks good. And those feed back up into the processor right there. Is that a crack on that pin? Pin, I guess it would be pin number 7. Well, I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and clean the circuit board, because there is a lot of buildup of oil on the contact pads. And so this thing might be working perfectly, but if the contact pads become all oily and have a nasty buildup on them, that will cause these things not to want to operate. So I'll probably go ahead and do a quick clean on the rubber membrane. See how some of those have oil on them like that one. We'll do a quick clean on that, and I'm just going to go ahead and wash this with soap and water, and I'll dry it off and blow out these switches right there, just to make sure there's no moisture inside there. We'll shoot it with some deoxide. Ooh, that needs a bath really bad. Man, that can feed a family for a week. So yeah, I think I'll resolder the crystal oscillator, ceramic, excuse me. And I'm going to recenter it and probably put either some adhesive under it, or just make sure it's flush to the board, and then maybe a droplet of hot glue just to hold it in place on that far end. All right, let's get this thing washing and we'll go from there. One moment. Okay, everything's all nice and cleaned up. Look at that. Looks like brand new practically. A couple little droplets left behind. It's okay, it'll evaporate. So I just want to go ahead and just give these pads a quick wipe down with a bit of acetone. Just like that. I'll do the same thing to the pads on the circuit board. Even though I've washed them, I'm still going to give them a quick wipe down just to remove any residuals that might be on there. Oops. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and unsolder the ceramic resonator and just move it more into position where I like it. Press it down firmly against the board, resolder it, then add a drop of hot glue. One moment. Pretty much flush against the board. I'll go ahead and push it down to relieve any stress on it and reheat the leads. And hopefully it'll stay in the down, fully seated. Pretty close. Pretty happy with that. We'll add a droplet of hot glue to that, and hopefully that takes care of all of these issues. All right, let's see if this hot glue is warm enough to flow at this point. And we're going to call that good. We'll let it cure for just a moment. We'll power this thing on and see what happens. Well, so far I've checked. The crystal oscillator, or sorry, ceramic oscillator is running, and it is 480 kilovolts, 2.8 volts peak to peak. There is key scan going out, but there's no output to the driver transistor right here. If I short the collector to emitter, I do get a red LED to light up right there. So I'm just going to resolder this chip as a last ditch effort, and we'll see what happens. Okay, very happy with that. I'll clean it up later if it works. And if not, then yeah. Actually, I'll just wipe off the excess right there. All right, pretty happy with the results. It looks excellent. I don't see any issues whatsoever. So I just got it sitting here, and I've got a 3-volt power supply that I can hook up to it. Current limited at 300 milliamps. I've just been using these on the side to test with, and I still get absolutely nothing as an indicator here. Even if I take and short these together, I should get a light, because that's a dead short. But like I said, on the oscilloscope, I do have key scan coming out, and the oscillator is running. So I think there's an internal failure in that chip, and the chances of me having a Betamax remote are less than 0. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and put this one back together and give it back to the customer. Incidentally, the VCR has been sitting here playing for the last probably hour. No issues whatsoever. Like a Betamax, it's got a great picture. Well, compared to VHS, not compared to high def or anything. But I'm going to end it there. Thanks for watching part 4, getting the Betamax up and running once again. Such a long road for such a simple problem. Anyhow, that is going to be it. And yes, the flux I'm using is the Amtech. And I know it has expired only 4 years ago, but still works just fine. All right. You can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X at NorCal715. You can email me, norcal715videos@gmail.com. As usual, so busy. That's why this is a multi-part installment. I only have a few minutes per day I can devote to doing anything like this at the moment. Everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. I really, really appreciate it. If you want to contact me, please just leave me a comment on one of the videos. I tend to answer those much, much faster than emails. Especially with the holidays. I have not even checked emails since before Thanksgiving, and here it is just after Christmas, almost New Year's. It's just, that's how busy I am with life. Life gets in the way. What the heck? It didn't tell you that when you signed up for it. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Just in case something does move slightly. Shoot. Oh, and I removed the wrong screw. Perfect. Oh, we'll just put that in the blooper. Take two. And obviously that was not meant to be removed that easily. Okay. We'll put that in the bloopers too. And I realized that was off camera, so we will take that again. Okay, Betamax reassembled. Power on. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay. Let's try to pop tape in it. See what it does. Come on, baby. All right, play. And I've got a capture device connected, and it is actually playing. Recording in 3, 2, 1, capture. Try it again. 3, 2, 1, capture. And it does not wish to capture. What is going on? Okay, maybe dead batteries. Maybe a cat laid on it for too long. I'm not sure. Give me one moment. We'll figure it out. No, 0.68, 0.068. Yeah, that's fine. Why is that one 1.5 and this one 0.068? They're in series. It's just a little remote. What the heck? Well, I'm going to throw 2 new batteries in it. That'll be on the blooper reel. Okay, here we go, part 2. Take 2, I should say.